Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a really unique shortcut into the world of surveillance and logistics. We're analyzing a massive technical report.
Yeah, a huge one.
And this deep dive is hyper-focused on traffic patterns and, well, thousands of suspicious activity reports, or SARS, filed in a critical region of India, Thiruvananthapuram.
And this is a fascinating stack of sources because it treats traffic not just as a matter of road safety,
Right.
but as a potential indicator of, coordinated activity.
Exactly. So our mission today is to cut through all this dense technical data and quickly understand two things.
Hmm.
First, what are the subtle human indicators that experienced observers flag as a genuine risk?
Mhm.
And second, where and when do these threats really concentrate along the city's major arteries?
And, here's the immediate head-turning insight from this whole analysis. If you ask most people what makes a vehicle suspicious, they'll default to mechanical
And
movements.
high speed, sudden braking, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Exactly. High speed, illegal turns. They focus on the vehicle as a machine. But the statistical breakdown in this data, it reveals something pretty profound.
Okay.
The primary threat indicator, the thing that really drives the severity score up, is something much more human, almost sociological, and way less about the literal motion of the car. It's all about the occupant's behavior.
Okay, let's unpack this then. We need to build the picture from the ground up. If the human element is the key, we first have to know what exactly are the observers seeing and where are they constantly being forced to file these reports?
Well, if we just start with the basics, the sheer volume, the majority of the vehicles being logged are pretty much what you'd expect.
Everyday traffic.
Everyday private vehicles in a dense city, yeah. Cars, scooters, and bikes.
Mhm.
They are by far the most frequently logged vehicles in the SAR system.
And when we look at the type of incidents they're flagged for, the most common codes are convoy move SAR, dangerous driving, and aggressive right overtaking.
Which tells you something right away.
Yeah, that immediately tells us the focus here isn't just, accidental speeding. It's highly intentional, maybe organized, or at least extremely aggressive maneuvers.
That's the critical distinction.
Right.
And geographically, this activity, it's not random at all. It defines a very clear operational corridor. We're specifically looking at the NH66 bypass.
And for anyone listening who doesn't track global infrastructure, what is that?
It's the main commercial and logistical artery running through Thiruvananthapuram,
Yeah.
which is a major economic hub for Kerala. So is suspicious activities clustering here?
It suggests it's tied to commercial transit. High-value logistics, maybe?
That's the logical conclusion.
So we're looking for the operational choke points along this artery. Where exactly should any surveillance effort, prioritize its resources based on this data?
The analysis highlights several specific risk notes. The Akulam Bridge, for instance, it just pops out repeatedly as a critical choke point.
Mhm.
This is where you see aggressive weaving and overtaking incidents just spike significantly.
And why the Akulam Bridge specifically? Is it just narrow or is there something else going on?
It's more than just the infrastructure. It really appears to be where drivers, often the ones engaged in these high-risk maneuvers, are forced to make immediate aggressive decisions in really high-density traffic.
So it's a bottleneck that exposes them.
It's where coordination or aggression is most exposed, exactly. Then you have the area around the Technopark phase area, which sees an overall high density of reports. Now, that one is likely just volume-driven.
Right, lots of traffic during shift changes.
Huge shift changes.
Yeah.
It gives cover for potential activity. But if you're, say, prepping for a briefing on this region, knowing the NH66 corridor, and specifically that the Akulam Bridge is where the most volatile incidents often start, well, that's absolutely vital context.
So we know what they see, mostly private vehicles and aggressive convoys, and where they see it, the NH66 bypass. Let's shift to the dimension of time. I mean, does risk just follow the chaotic rush hour, or is there a more calculated, predictable rhythm to these incidents?
Oh, there is a very calculated rhythm, and it focuses heavily on the midday and the afternoon transition. The time series analysis shows a massive, significant surge in incidents, both SARS and general dangerous driving logs, during the afternoon and early evening.
What are the absolute hot spots? When you ran the numbers on the temporal data, what did you find?
The peak is highly concentrated. We're talking between 12:00 p.m. and 5:00 p.m. That window captures the full daylight transit and the shift into evening.
Which suggests visibility and peak logistical cover are the prime operational times.
That's what it looks like, yeah.
That timing seems manageable, but what about the weekly pattern? Is this consistent all 7 days?
No, and this is where it stops looking like random recklessness and starts looking like, well, intentional scheduling.
Okay.
Activity levels are highest on Monday and Tuesday. Then there's a noticeable drop-off toward the end of the week.
Wait, Monday and Tuesday, that is highly counterintuitive for high-risk activity. You'd typically expect, I don't know, crime or heavy logistics to surge on a Thursday or Friday, right? Before the weekend.
You would?
So why would the start of the week be the peak operational time for suspicious behavior?
That is the key question, isn't it? It suggests that the suspicious behavior, the kind tied to coordination in convoys, is linked to setting up operations, or maybe receiving high-value assets, or even establishing surveillance at the start of a predictable work week. It's not the final hurried delivery you might associate with a Friday rush.
So pulling back a bit, what this means operationally is that you need to stop just chasing random traffic infractions at 8 a.m.
Right.
and instead focus your resources during these really critical start of week afternoon windows. It's about being effective, not just being present.
Precisely. If we connect this to the bigger picture, these specific weekly and daily patterns, they suggest observers are capturing behaviors tied directly to predictable logistical or work week schedules.
Which finally brings us to the centerpiece of this entire deep dive, the factor analysis. We've established that speed isn't the main driver of suspicion. The analysis isolated a single, overarching construct they called overall suspiciousness. We really need to talk about what data points actually predicted that risk and why the findings are so, well, revolutionary for surveillance strategy.
When they ran the model to see which recorded variables contributed most to that overall suspiciousness factor,
Yeah.
the results just redefined the problem. We've been trained to look for mechanical errors, but that's not what the human eye is reporting.
Let's break down the factor loadings in plain English, because this is the section that matters most. Those traditional metrics, things like speed, aggressive maneuvers, and unusual stop, they loaded only moderately.
Right, around negative 0.36 and negative 0.35.
So they still matter, but they only contributed about a third as much to the overall suspicion score.
But the behavioral component, the one they labeled driver-passenger behavior, loaded overwhelmingly at negative 0.80. And that negative sign just means that the absence of normal behavior or the presence of unusual behavior strongly predicts a high suspicion rating.
That is the paradigm shift. It means the observers are far more likely to flag a vehicle because they saw the actions of the occupants.
Yeah.
It's not the speed of the machine. The observation post is essentially acting as a sociological alert system?
Exactly. We're talking about very subtle cues.
Yeah.
Things like a driver constantly checking their rear view mirror in a totally unnatural pattern.
Or a passenger signaling.
A passenger signaling to another vehicle with a discrete hand movement or just body language that suggests they are monitoring something way outside of their own car and the immediate road ahead. This report shows that experienced human observers are detecting nonverbal communication and situational awareness, not just traffic violations.
This goes way beyond road safety. This is the difference between catching a simple accidental speeding ticket and detecting a pre-planned security escort, maybe a surveillance attempt, or some kind of organized activity.
And that doesn't make aggressive driving irrelevant, of course. The data smartly connects the two. There's a clear positive correlation, 0.42, between the perceived severity of an incident and the speed or maneuver.
So when you combine them,
Right. It indicates that when you combine suspicious human behavior with aggressive maneuvers, those moving threats are correctly rated as the absolute highest risk. They become volatile.
so if the factor analysis tells us what the observers are looking for, let's look at the reports that actually broke the severity scale. What does a maximum risk encounter look like in real life on that NH66 corridor?
They often look like the convoy move SAR pattern. This is never about just one vehicle. It's a coordinated dance, and it suggests organization and intent.
Give us a visual on that convoy signature. What are the observers actually describing?
The reports describe multiple vehicles, say a motorcycle and a scooter or a car and a bike moving with what they call rhythmic frequency.
Rhythmic frequency.
They mirror each other's turns and indicators precisely, almost as if they're connected by an invisible string. The coordination is deliberate. It's overt. One specific report noted a scooter driver constantly looking back and using distinct hand signals, not standard turn indicators, to communicate with a specific car behind them.
And the practical output for analysts is clear then. This activity is rarely a solo event. It forces you to link vehicle number A and vehicle number B to understand the potential threat profile.
Absolutely. When this level of coordination is documented, you immediately raise the threat assessment from, road rage to a planned escort or some kind of inter-vehicle signaling.
Now, let's switch gears to the other major high-severity threat, heavy vehicles. This category, I imagine, represents the maximum physical danger on the road.
It does. The Commercial Vehicle Safety Report really zeroes in on tippers and trucks. And while they're fewer in total number than private cars, they are associated with the highest severity incidents overall. Their size just translates directly into higher risk when a maneuver goes wrong.
The sources reference specific, highly dangerous driving patterns. One is the boxing maneuver, which is rated at a severity 5. Can you visualize that for us?
This is an extremely aggressive action. It's where commercial vehicles, often two tippers or trucks working together, use their massive bulk to corner in private cars. They essentially trap the smaller vehicle against the shoulder or the median, preventing them from moving or passing. And this is often coupled with aggressive right overtaking or near misses labeled as missing the bumper. This isn't just bad driving, it's an application of physical force and intimidation.
Yet there's a strange paradox here about these high-risk vehicles. It's about their license plates and markings.
It's a crucial detail. I'm glad you brought that up. Despite engaging in these extreme high-severity maneuvers, the reports consistently note that these heavy vehicles often have clearly visible license plates and safety markings, like reflective tape.
So their high visibility is not a deterrent.
Not at all. And we get a clue about their origin. A significant portion are registered in Tamil Nadu, or specific neighboring Kerala districts like KL33 and KL26. This confirms they're on long-haul routes, intersecting dangerously with this local city corridor, where time pressures and payload value might be contributing to the aggression.
Okay, before we move to our final synthesis, let's quickly review the quality of the observation data itself, which seems surprisingly strong given the chaos of the traffic.
It really speaks highly of the observers and their training. The average score for description clarity, how well they articulated the suspicious event, is a very high 4.2 out of 5.
That's impressive.
And maybe most importantly, in nearly 100% of high-severity cases, photographic or video evidence was collected. So the foundation for analysis is robust.
But every data collection effort has holes. What stands out to you as the key information gap that prevents a complete picture?
Well, the gap perfectly confirms the difficulty of identifying the individual in fast-moving traffic. While vehicle type and color are captured beautifully, the estimated age range of driver and driver gender are the most frequently missed data points.
Just not noted.
Routinely marked simply as not noted. They can track the car, but physically identifying the human behind the wheel is where the system still struggles.
Okay, so let's bring it all together.
To synthesize this for you, the core strategic insight is that effective surveillance in these critical commercial corridors like the NH66 bypass, it has to shift its focus. It must prioritize observing human nonverbal cues, the driver and passenger behavior, over simple mechanical infractions like speed.
Right.
The highest severity threats involve either highly coordinated convoy activity or extreme aggression from heavy vehicles. And it's all happening predictably during the start of the work week and in those afternoon transit hours. The threat is systematic, not random.
So what does this all mean? The data gives a clear operational mandate. Future surveillance has to focus heavily on that convoy signature and explicitly link vehicle number A and vehicle number B to identify patterns of organization. This raises an important question for you to consider. If these specific coordinated traffic behaviors are a consistently observed operational signature, what specific kind of organized network, whether it's logistical, criminal, or even corporate, might be using the high density of commercial traffic as a very effective cover for their movements? That is the thread we leave for you to pull on.
Until next time.
We'll see you on the next deep dive.